President Arroyo, good to have you on the program.
Good to be with you.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and it is good to see you again. I want to first offer my condolences to you and your country over the passing of President Aquino. You began your service to government under the Aquino administration.
Yes, as Undersecretary of Trade and Industry. She was a great woman, and she presided over the most important historical event in our country in the last 100 years, and that is the People Power Peaceful Revolution.
And the first female president.
Yes,
I'm
that's
sure
right.
should have pioneered for yourself coming into office.
Yes. In fact, that's one of the reasons cited for the Philippines being considered as one of those with very good gender equity, that we've had two presidents within a span of 50 years.
That's
Two
extraordinary.
female presidents.
I know that President Obama also made a statement about the passing of President Aquino, and you met with President
Yes.
Obama this week.
Yes.
Can you give us a sense of what went on with your meeting with President Obama?
Well, it was a fruitful meeting, I would say, and the fact that he sought out the Philippines for the first Southeast Asian leader to meet with him in the White House is a testament to the strong ties between our two nations. Very high on our agenda was peace and security, including cooperation in counterterrorism, especially in the light of the recent Jakarta bombings, and also nuclear non-proliferation with respect to the whole world, and also with respect specifically to the Korean Peninsula.
And of course, Secretary of State Clinton has been talking about this very much recently in
Yes.
terms of her efforts in North Korea as well as in
Yes.
Iran. What can be done? How can the two nations work together in that regard?
Well, first of all, it's really very important that we all are together in the civilized world, because what is happening is that North Korea is increasingly becoming isolated and quite adventurous in its dealings with us. With the civilized world, the people are suffering while they're rattling the nuclear saber. So it's very important that we work together to put an end to their nuclear adventurism, but it must be done firmly, responsibly, peacefully. So we join the U.S., we're foursquare with the U.S. and the rest of the civilized world in calling for an end to this nuclear adventure. And we're urging North Korea to go back to the negotiating table. As with many other countries in our region, we stand ready to help. And perhaps one way by which we can help is through the review of the Non-Proliferation Treaty in May 2010, where the Philippines will be the chair.
And do you think that the North Koreans are listening? Do you think that the world uniting in this way will actually make a difference here?
It is very important that the world unite, that the neighbors of Korea unite, on the other part of our hemisphere, that the neighbors of Iran unite. So that's one of the things that we must do. There must be a lot of unity among nations for us to look for a solution to this long-standing issue.
You also met with lawmakers, Nancy Pelosi and
Yes.
others. What were those meetings about?
Well, first we thank them because they allocated funds for benefits for Filipino World War II veterans. After 60 years of waiting, because these veterans, now 80 years old, when they were in their 20s, they fought side by side with Americans under U.S. command, and at last they have some justice and recognition of their contribution.
That's wonderful.
And of course, we talked about other legislation, and things like how to address the global economic crisis through legislation by enhancing trade rather than cutting down trade. For instance, there is a bill that has been filed in Congress called the Save Our Industries Act. One of the provisions is an example of a win-win solution that illustrates that trade can enhance recovery rather than jeopardize an economy. Because, like in this particular provision, if a garment is made up of American yarn and textile, and then wholly cut and produced in the Philippines, it can enter the U.S. duty-free. Now, why is this a win-win situation? The Philippines is a big garment producer, but it is not a textile producer. So if we are encouraged to buy textiles from the U.S., then that would be very good for the U.S. textile industry. So it's a win-win solution. And these are the types of things that we should look for so that we can have more trade, more economic integration, more cohesion, and that's part of how the world can recover.
This is a very important point that you're discussing, because particularly now you've
Yes.
got world leaders looking inward
Yes.
and looking to protect their own land because of the weakness in terms of the global economy.
Yes.
So how do you get in front of protectionism to ensure that these kinds of measures are taken to create open and free borders?
It's really very tempting to raise to raise up walls at a time like this, but we just have to go back to the previous the Great Depression, when that was the knee-jerk reaction, and beggar thy neighbor, beggar thyself became the truism, because then the world went from a recession to a depression, and we don't want that to happen again.
Do you feel like you got a good reception from leading lawmakers on this topic?
On this particular topic, yes, I think I did. And the good thing about this, I understand, is that U.S. labor and U.S. industry also think that it's going to be good for them. So this is a win-win solution. We have to find more win-win solutions like this and examples to show that more trade will help bring about world recovery rather than slow it down.
Have you seen challenges and issues with regard to the U.S. immigration policy? This is another issue
Yes.
that really speaks to the same sort of challenge that you're talking about in terms of open borders and
Yes.
the possibility of the creation of jobs for both nations. And this is a time when people are very much in a protectionist mode.
Yes, yes. Well, speaking for the Filipinos here in the United States, the ones who are already living here and who are able to claim their relatives are doing quite well. In fact, they send a lot of remittances back home in spite of the fact that the U.S. is in recession. And again just shows that movement of people, movement of goods, movement of capital is really very good for the world at large.
And movement of money. So how important
Yes.
are those remittances to the Philippine economy?
In 2008, they made up 10% of our GDP. And this year, in 2009, the prognosis was that they would suffer a decline, but they have not. They continue to grow. So we really value the contributions of our overseas Filipinos, but at home, we are working for the day when we can create enough jobs so that for a hardworking Filipino, going abroad will be a career choice and not the only choice.
Of course. Tell me about the economy right now in the Philippines.
Yes.
Where is the growth? Can you characterize where you are right now?